Do you have a personal definition of what boundaries mean to you? Like most other persons, do you believe there are barriers we put in place to prevent people from hurting or disrespecting us? Are there some ways we can go about setting boundaries that will ultimately hurt our chances? And are there some best practices we can observe in setting boundaries so that we get maximum beneficial return? In order not to make this video too long, we'll explore this topic in two separate parts. After playing this first part, check the playlist to see the second part. Setting boundaries work best for the person who understands the nature of every human. And this nature is that a human is a vessel and a channel. Many individuals have gone about setting boundaries with the mindset that they are channels or vessels, but not both. And this has hurt their chances, making them set unhealthy boundaries that keep them locked away from opportunities. So, in this video, we'll use some analogies to describe what setting boundaries has been like and what setting boundaries ought to look like. When a human being is considered as a container, let's say a beautiful room full of treasures, setting boundaries look like having a fence that locks strangers away, and then a stranger that qualifies to enter the compound if eventually gets to face a front door that is locked. So these are two boundaries. First one, the gate locking out strangers, and the second one is the door keeping admitted strangers in wait until they can be allowed to have access into the room full of treasures. This is a very healthy approach to setting boundaries because here we are trying to maintain selectivity. There are some persons that should cross the gate and there are some persons that should cross the front door. Not everybody deserves to cross the gate and not everybody deserves to cross the front door. So say an individual has set such a boundary and a stranger has been qualified to cross the gate and this stranger is facing the front door. The common mistake most persons make is that this front door, once crossed, introduces the stranger to everything there is to know and have about the beautiful room behind the front door. Once a stranger who qualifies to pass through the front door is able to see everything there is to know about the room behind the front door, this puts the stranger in a position where he is battling temptations of not becoming possessive. This is a vessel and the vessel contains treasures. This stranger is likely to be tempted to switch to exploitation mode, to explore and enjoy as much pleasure as he or she can afford to lay hands on, because every access is granted. By the time this person who set the boundary starts trying to check the movements and the activities of the stranger who's been given access into the room, the whole process becomes stressful both for the person putting the checks and for the stranger himself. They're likely going to have misunderstanding, and if the misunderstanding ultimately leads to the stranger being evicted from this treasure room, it becomes harder for this person who set this boundary in the first place to admit another stranger through the gate and through the front door. At this point, setting boundary can be said to have locked this person away from opportunities outside because of the approach the person took towards setting the boundaries. So how can any individual set boundaries the right way, considering the human as a vessel? To set the right boundary means to have varieties of boundaries at strategic places and at strategic levels of access. And to be able to know how these boundaries should be situated, this individual must have undergone some journeys of self-discovery and self-development to know that at a certain stage, a person who has not gotten to this level at discovering or developing him or herself is not qualified to have access to this room of treasure that I discovered in the process of developing myself to this extent. Now, it does not exclude anybody, it does not lock anybody out. The door may be open, quite alright, and anybody can see that this door is open and it looks like there is treasure inside. There is a level of access this person needs to get in order to get to that room that is open and that is quite attractive. And the distance between this stranger and getting to that room is the self-development journey or self-discovery journey that the stranger has to pass through. So at this point, this individual is no longer serving just as a vessel. There is now a potential for this individual to also serve as a channel. By channel now, I mean guiding the stranger through the process he or she has gone through in self-development so that the stranger who desires to reach the new level of access can effectively learn from this person's strategy, go through the process of self-development and discovery, and then qualify for more exclusive access. An individual who sets boundaries while considering him or herself as just a vessel assumes that he or she is the prize and the only objective why anybody would want to have access to him or her. And this is wrong, because some persons will want to have access to you because they are on a journey and they see something about you that could help them get to where they are going. At this point, their destination is their prize. You are someone who could enable them get to that destination. So, assuming you've set this boundary, considering yourself as a prize for anybody who would want to have access to you, what will happen is that this other person who has a destination to journey to gets access to you and then gets distracted by all the treasures you have. He or she will start exploiting and exploring all the treasures you have, trying to get the satisfaction he or she imagine receiving when he gets to his destination. And the more he exploits, the more he or she wants to get that satisfaction, and the more he or she is not getting it. While you are believing that you've actually given the person everything he or she wants, you are now the prize, and that you are now expecting this person to give you all the loyalty that he or she has to offer. But what happens is that by the time this person has explored all that you have to offer and does not get that satisfaction that his or her initial journey was destined to give him or her, what will happen is that this person will want to cross your boundaries out of your treasure room and find another route that will take him or her to his or her destination. And this ultimately leaves you broken, makes you feel that you've been taken advantage of, and then you've been taken advantage of. This could potentially make you to harden the boundaries, refusing access to more persons who would want to cross the boundary in future. And by this now, this boundary has locked you away from opportunities, because you set the boundaries imagining yourself to be just a vessel, the prize for anybody coming through you, and nothing more. In the next part, we'll talk about setting boundaries with the mindset of a human being a channel. And then we'll conclude by giving the benefits of setting boundaries with the mindset of a human being both a channel and a vessel. Do well to subscribe to my channel, like this video, and then share it with anyone who you believe can benefit from it.